Hi guys, it's Jess here. Just coming to you today to talk about the Epiphone Casino Worn. This is a great guitar. I've made a few changes to it, and I just wanted to share those with you in case you were thinking of doing similar changes. And I wanted to give you kind of a head start on what to look for to get the right parts and which changes make the most difference, what parts fit, things like that. So I'll take you through all of the things that I've done to this to make it play a lot better and look a lot better. So if we look at first the pick guard, this guitar originally came with this white pick guard here, which looks fine. I personally prefer the black pick guard, so I went on eBay and sourced a part that was exactly the same dimensions as this white guard. I even think it's made by the factory and kind of sold as a second, you know, uh, I don't know what you'd call it, but this guard here is identical to this guard in every way except it's black, which makes me think it was made on the same machinery or it's some sort of very, very, very close clone. So, yeah, I'm very happy with the way that fit. I went ahead and on the stock guard, this edge here is flat. So I went ahead and added a 45-degree bevel to these parts just so I could get the kind of white outline to run all the way around the guard because I prefer that look. But other than that, everything just fits perfect and really like that upgrade in terms of the aesthetics. The second upgrade is the knobs. So this guitar came with gold colored knobs like this. So because Epiphone has moved to using CTS pots, you can just pop these knobs off and get some replacement knobs. I got these, I think these are Gibson knobs I might have had laying around, so I just put them on there. Next upgrade was the bridge. So this bridge here is a Tone Pros AVR2 in nickel. That's one of the things that I really like about this Casino Worn is that the hardware is nickel, so it'll age nicely. So I put the AVR2 on. It fits very tightly on the studs, which is kind of what you want. You've got to kind of not force it, but you've got to put it on firmly. And then once it's on there, it doesn't really move at all, which is perfect and what I wanted for using with the Bigsby. In this case, the original studs that went into the body and the screws that went into them had a little tiny bit of play in them. So the solution that I came up with was to use a second set of thumb screws, and then I pushed the, let me just focus there. So I pushed the Tone Pros thumb screw right up against the body there. So it kind of holds the stud in place. So there's absolutely no play there anymore. The Tone Pros thumb wheel hole was a bit small for the Epiphone screw that goes through it. So I just got a round needle file and just bored out that hole a little bit until I could get the thread of the screw through it. And now that kind of sits in place. I'll just demonstrate with the Bigsby here. See, it's pretty good. There's not much play there at all, so tuning stability is decent doing it that way. The added benefit is that if it doesn't fit perfectly, you can do up this screw here and just lock it onto the post. But in my case, I did not need to do that because it fits so tightly as it is. I just leave it loose because I have a bit of a fear that if I do this up too tight and I thread that, then I can never get it off again. So I pretty much put Tone Pros on everything, but I usually don't do this up very tight. I just screw it in just to the point where when the piece is sitting on the post, it doesn't have any play. But yeah, never do those screws up really tight or you might not get them off again. As I learnt on a Gibson ES335 once. Alrighty, so the next thing I did was put on the Bigsby. So this Bigsby is a B7 in nickel. It was very expensive, but worth it, and fitted that one on there. So the Casino is really a perfect guitar to fit a Bigsby to, because it already has the trapeze tailpiece there, so there's already some holes drilled in the bottom of it, and this Bigsby kind of covers up those holes and kind of suits the guitar very well. Also, I didn't really like the functionality of the trapeze tailpiece. It's hard to restring, so why not change it over to this? The next thing I did, this is purely aesthetic. Other people may not like it, but I used some nail polish remover and got rid of the white E that was on the cover here, because I just thought it looked cheap and ugly. I know that's a Casino thing, but I don't know why. I just prefer it to look like this without the E on it. I think that looks better. I also got my guitar technician, my local guitar technician, to do a fret kind of level on this guitar. There were a few buzzy frets from the factory. It certainly wasn't perfect straight out of the box, but once he addressed those issues, it's now playing fantastically. Another thing which is great about this olive worn finish is that if the binding isn't perfect, you can simply just scrape it back yourself, because there's no lacquer over the top of it. So in this case, when I originally got it, there were a few parts where the kind of paint comes up onto the lacquer, like you get on pretty much all guitars. Like you can see here, it's not quite perfect. But what you can do is you just get a razor blade and you can just kind of bevel it at about 45 degrees and just gently run it along the edge, and it will kind of clean up the edges of the binding and make it look, like a more professional job. I also took a razor blade and kind of 45-degree beveled the binding on the neck, just to give it a bit more of a rolled fingerboard edge, which is definitely a more comfortable look, and it's a bit cleaner as well. So if you own one of these, I'd say there's not much to lose as long as you do it gently. Just get a razor blade, 45 degrees, and just gently scrape in between the frets. Don't go hard, just gently scrape, and then you can finish it up with some fine sandpaper, like 1000 grit or 1500 grit, just to make it super smooth. But that's about it, and it's a fantastic guitar for the price, and I thought I'd just share all of these upgrades. I may eventually get around to doing something with the pickups. I think the pickups are a little bit muddy, so I don't know, maybe they're a bit overwound or a bit too wax potted or something. I may change them in the future, but for now, they kind of do the job. Other than that, everything on the guitar has been good. The tuners, I think the tuners are pretty good. I'm going to leave them alone. For this type of guitar, it's probably not worth changing them. They seem to be decent quality and they're nice nickel finish on them. So yeah, let me know how you go with your guitars, and if you're looking at doing any of these mods, I would recommend with the Tone Pros, as I said, you may have to use a little bit of elbow grease to make it fit on there, but it will fit on. And then once you get it on there, I think it does definitely take away a lot of the rattles and things that you can hear with the original bridge. So, have a look for yourself and give it a go, and all the best. All right, signing off. See ya.